Now we're going to take a look at a tune of mine called I'll Fix Your Wagon. We're just going to look at the A section now. We're going to listen to the form, look at the chord changes, and go through the same process of analyzing the harmony, listening to all the 12 notes against each of the chords, decide which are good notes, create some collections, and see if we can make some music with that after that little investigation. Let's listen to the tune first, and I'll play along and you can check out the changes. That's just an intro. The A section starts now. It's an A chord, and then a D chord with an E. A D7 chord, a D7 sus4. This little A7 pattern again, which I'll show you. An F chord, a C chord, an F chord, a G chord, A7. One more time. It's got an A7 chord, a D chord with an E, our big lick. Again, the D7 chord, this is bar 5. It's like a blues, but a little different. The turnaround is F, C, F, G, and then our A7 figure again. All right, so let's take a little inside look at the chord changes there. This is the first chord voicing. It only has an A, an E, and a G, which not only has a kind of a unique sound, but it's missing the third. So it's very flexible for improvising on, because if you fill it in with the third, that's a C sharp, you get an A7 chord. If you fill it in with the bluesier note, the C natural, it's an A minor 7. In other words, it doesn't clash, so it gives the improviser a little bit of room there. That opening, that vamps, or that figure, is like that. It's this kind of funny D chord, sort of, but it's got a G in it, that open G. And it's got a C triad, C, G, E. Like that. And then, so that's that lick. It's going to happen every time. Let's take a look at the notes that all adds up to. If we look at, we know that A7 chord without the third is there. These notes, G, F sharp, and D, and then a C triad. So there's quite a bunch of notes in that figure. But this is really the sound that I think is going to be in our ears mostly. This goes by pretty quick. And I think that's what we're going to focus in on when we're thinking of what we're going to play on. The second chord is really a D7. We'll consider that our chord. It does add the G there, and we'll think about that too. But essentially it's D, A, C, and F sharp. And then back to the figure again. Then it's just a triad. F, A, C, C, E, G, F, A, C, G, B, D. And then back to our lick. So that's really all we have to deal with. Let's start listening to each chord and listen to each of the 12 notes against it. We're not going to make any assumptions from other experience. We're going to just treat this as a very unique instance of music. We're going to let the music tell us what it likes as far as notes we like on it. The E, we'll start just E. We'll go all 12 notes right up the E string. The E is certainly a winner because it's right in the chord. You can see it's a note you can easily imagine hanging on and making music with. The F feels totally out of the harmonic world of this, so we're going to reject that. The F sharp feels kind of okay. It doesn't. It adds a different color, but it doesn't offend our sense of the harmony like the F did. So we'll keep the E, the F sharp. The G is certainly a winner. It's the top note of this chord voicing here. The G sharp clashes with that. It's clearly a loser. The A is a winner. It's the root, sounding all the time. Easy note you can imagine using. The B flat is a loser. The The B is kind of a winner in the same way that the F sharp is. They don't sound like right on the center of the chord, but they're notes that don't offend our sense of the harmony somehow, and they'll be useful to us. In this case, the C, it gives us a different character. It gives us an A minor 7th chord, but it's definitely, it can be a winner, absolutely. There's no, it's something we can definitely find use for, especially because this has a bluesy vibe, this tune. That's going to work. But so does the C sharp. So that's interesting. In this case, our collection is going to include options there, like I alluded to before. So that's a winner too. The D, even that seems okay, and that's new for us. There was a tune we had on Caroline Yes. The D felt pretty wrong. You could travel through it on the way to other chord tones, but to lay on it didn't feel right. This somehow is more forgiving. I think it's because there's no third to clash with. There's no minor third to clash with or major third, but because it's sort of a more open sound, that D is going to be useful to us. The E flat is a blue note. It's pretty, it's pretty striking against the A, but it gives you a slightly more jazzy flavor, I think, but maybe it's not quite as centered and powerful as some of the other choices, but something to consider too. And then we're done. So what do we have? E, F sharp, G, A, B, maybe C if we want that sound, C sharp if we want that one. D's okay too. So, well, if we skip the C and use the C natural, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes, which is the Mixolydian mode if you start on A. Some of you may be familiar with those terms. Again, I don't care about the terms. I care about the sound of those notes against this chord. And so we have our choices. Now, because the vamp also includes this D and this C, certainly the C works better there than the C sharp. Although this goes by so fast, I think it's not going to hurt too much if we're hanging on that C sharp. So we have options, remember. So this is a little more complicated than what we found on Caroline Yes, for instance, but it's nice to have options too as an improviser. Okay, now the D chord. Let's do and it's going to do the sus thing. Let's listen to an E on that. That's an E. Somehow, again, that doesn't offend our sense of the harmony. It's a winner. We'll keep it. The F does offend our sense, just like it did in the A chord. It's not going to work. So F sharp's the next note. That's part of the D chord. It's going to work. E. So far we got the same notes. Somewhere in this, in the part it goes to a sus4. There's our G. We're going to keep that G too. We'll use that as part of the big collection we're trying to create. And the G sharp is a loser again. Sometimes there's some jazzy use you can, which again gives us that flat 5 chord. Maybe sometimes, but it's not right in the center of the harmony, and we're going to focus on that right now. So the A is our next winner. So we got so far the B flat's a loser again, but the B is a winner again. It's the 13th of a D chord. It fits with the sound of this. I think you'd agree. The C is in the chord. It's the 7th. We'll keep that. C sharp is a loser. Remember, it was a winner on the A chord. It's a loser on the D chord. You want to make sure you remember that when you know where you are on the form. It's a D7 chord. No C sharps, please. Then the D is the root. It's a winner. The D sharp, again, it could be a blues. If you're playing the blues on it, that's going to work. But as a real harmonic chord tone, doesn't feel like a winner. So since we're focusing on what's in the center of the harmony here, let's use the collection E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes again. And if we start on D, we get the 7 notes again of the Mixolydian mode starting on D. Don't worry about the names, just remember the notes and that they work on these on this particular chord in this song. We're taking this one tune, one chord at a time. And this is going to serve us. Let's see. The triads are next. And we're going to do the same process, all 12 notes. We've had an E and a couple chords on the A chord, it worked, and on the D chord it worked. On the F chord, it adds a kind of quality to the chord, makes it a major 7th chord, which isn't in the rhythm guitar part, but it doesn't sound wrong to me. It sounds like a certain kind of choice, you know. It's richer, it's again maybe jazzier. It's not right in the center of what you're hearing in the rhythm part, but it's not a note I'd reject completely. However, an F sounds much more in the center of a triad like this. It's a chord tone after all. The F sharp is a loser, you can hear right away. The G, however, doesn't sound as centered as the F, but colors it in a beautiful way. It's a rich, big sound, and I think we'd all agree it's a winner. So far, E, F, and G. Total loser, a total winner. It's a chord tone, the A. So we got E, F, G, A. The B flat sounds like from another planet. It's not gonna work. It's probably the clash with the A. Okay, and the B somehow it's a little more out there sounding than the G or the E was, but it doesn't hurt us like the B flat does. The B flat is a loser. The F sharp is a loser, but the B it's not a winner like the chord tones or like the G and even the E, but it's not horrible either. So let's remember that. I think it's a good thing to remember the quality that each of these notes gives to the chord that's sounding, because that's going to influence your choices. Sometimes you want a certain effect that's unusual or different like that. Other times you want to just nail the notes of the chord. The next note is C. It's a winner. It's a chord tone. You can hear that. So C sharp's a loser. You can hear that. And the D has a quality a lot like the G to me, like because it's one above a chord tone. It's a whole step above a chord tone, and there's something similar about those two. The E flat in this case would make this chord an F7 chord if we add the E flat. Not really in the character of the sound of the song to me. But again, it's a blue note in the key of A, and the song may forgive you for using the E flat. Anyway, we're done. So our big choice, our big winners were, I think, F, G, A, C, D, a pentatonic scale. But we didn't mind the E so much. We didn't mind the B so much. And that's pretty much it. So if we want a 7-note scale instead of the 5-note scale, to include all these that are less in the center of the harmony but still useful, we have a scale. Those 7 notes, and they're all notes in the key of C, it turns out. Okay, so that would be the Lydian mode of C for those of you who know names of scales and modes. But again, I don't care about that. I want to know that in this song, this F chord likes these notes. That's what we want to remember. So it's a lot of this training to improvise on this tune and any tune is going to be about really committing to memory those big collections that work, and I think again the individual investigation into the particular song, and when we ask the question like, what is this song asking us to play, and what do our ears tell us are useful tones for each of these chords. But it's you might want to make notes of the notes that work, make these collections. I think there'll be charts we can reference as well with these that you can look at. So F, C, same deal. I'm gonna try every note against. I'm gonna move a little quicker. It turns out my favorites are gonna be E, G, A, C, D. That's a C major pentatonic scale. And I'm also going to say the F, because we've had the F before, the F is going to be a note we can sort of move through. You don't want to hang on it. It's going to sound like a wrong note if you hang on it, but it's part of a bigger scale that might be useful to move through. The F sharp is pretty not. It's not in our ear anymore because the F has replaced it in the chord before. So the F sharp sounds wrong in a way that the F doesn't. The G sharp just sounds like a loser. The B flat sounds foreign. We haven't heard any B flats in the song before. The B is okay, but colors it in a way that feels out of the style to me. You know, see, it feels too pretty or something. But again, just like the F, we can pass through it, and we get another C scale. Those 7 notes. So that's something very important to remember about this. It's going to make our life easier to remember that on the F chord to the C chord and then back to the next F chord, those 3 chords are going to require the same big collection of 7 notes. We still want to make sure that we favor notes that are in the chord, and we can't just sort of ignore the chords there and play notes in the C scale. I don't think that'd be a good strategy. But to know the overall collections are the same makes our life a little easier. We don't have to remember another shift there. So then we get the G chord. Again, it may be different. Let's find out. The E sounds not horrible, but not right in the center of it. After all, this is a 3-note chord, G, B, and D. The E is a foreigner. It makes it like a G6, but it's okay. I mean, it's not terrible. The F, not horrible, not one you want to hang on, but moving through it is fine. Again, just like we did on the F and the C chords. The F sharp is wrong. Just sounds wrong on this chord. The G sharp sounds wrong. The A sounds okay. Not in the center, not a chord tone, but an acceptable extra note we can use. So it looks like we're in the same world so far. B flat sounds wrong. The B is a chord tone. We'll keep it. The C, not to hang on, but to pass through. Yes. The C sharp, no. The D, yes, it's a chord tone again. The D sharp, loser. So again, we have the same notes of a C scale. But very important, the sounding notes are going to tell us that a C is not one you want to hang on this. The B is better. But on the F chord and the C chord, the C was better. So here's where you want to really notice the individual effect of each note on each chord. Even though they all come from the same key of C collection, each chord is asking to be treated differently and independently. So before we try to play on this, let's recap what we've learned from listening to these chords and all the notes against them. The first A7 chord, we decided we liked those 7 notes. It's the Mixolydian mode, just A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G. The same goes for the D7 chord. In that key, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C. And then we're back to the A. And then another D7, another A7. On the F, we liked the notes of the C scale. And on the C, we liked the notes of the C scale. The F again. And then G, again, the notes of the C scale. All white notes on the piano. And then we're back to the A. So that's a lot of notes. We have 7 notes for each of these chords, and that's a lot. So I want to remind you that you can find all sorts of much simpler, a lot of times more manageable, easier to hear, certainly easier to find, smaller collections within those bigger collections of 7. All right. We noticed we had some favorites anyway on some of these chords. Some of the notes were less effective and less centered sounding on the harmony than others. What I want to try now is to have a collection of just 1, 2, 3, 5. In A, it's A, B, C sharp, E. In D, it's D, E, F sharp, A. And it works. We like those notes on all the chords, it turns out. And then the F chord, it would be F, G, A, C. On the C chord, it's C, D, E, G. F, same as before. And then the G is G, A, B, D. So that's a collection. I think of it as the first, the second, third notes of the scale, and the fifth. But really, it's the same pattern starting on each of these notes that are the chord changes of the tune. All right, so now we're going to run the track, And we'll go through the A section twice. The first time, I'm just going to play the 7-note collections over each of the chord changes so you can hear what they sound like. The second time through, I'm going to limit it to that smaller collection of 4 notes that we were talking about. All right, let's hear how they sound. So there you have it. I think you can hear how the 7-note collections that I played the first time through are a lot. The second time through, when I played the smaller collections, it right away sounds so much more musical, because not only are you zeroing in on the chord tones, the ones we like best when we did our listening test, but they're more manageable. They're easy to get your hands on, and they just nail the harmony in a way that the fuller scales don't do. So now I'm going to play along with the track. I'm going to try to limit myself to just those 4-note collections, the small note collections on all the chord changes. But I'm going to add a lot of the expressive techniques. I'm going to try to use some open strings, try to use some slides, just to see if we can make even those small collections, even though we're limiting ourselves to that, to see if we can make some real music out of it that sounds like some fresh improvisation.